So I was 10 when I first started using social media. My mum made me an account on Facebook.
And then about 2014, 2015, I got Instagram, and that's my favourite one. I just think Facebook's just so toxic and that sort of thing, really.
But nowadays, kids are looking at stuff they shouldn't be looking at, and young people as young as 7 look like meeting people on the internet who they don't even know. And it's just crazy to me that some parents don't even care.
I think social media can be the basis of liking someone or not. I think it depends on the individual. If you're like really attention seeking, then I think it gives you more. You know, if someone's going to bully you, for instance. But if you're a bit more reserved, then you might be less. But I think it can be very toxic. And certainly for me, I've had experiences where people message me out of the blue, don't know who they are, and they'll be like sending porn or something, and then I'm thinking, no, actually I don't want that. But it can be really toxic, even if you don't follow.
Technology is nowadays constantly around us. It's in everything we do, we see, or we experience. Every day, almost 4 billion people use the internet. 40% of the entire population is attached to a smartphone. By 2020, it's estimated that 8 billion devices will be connected to the web. Along with the evolution of technology, concerns about it have grown as well. The smartphone is the focus of our fears. This is not surprising. We use them to remember precious memories and factual information, to find other people and to talk to them. The constant access to information stored online might atrophy our ability to remember, since our smartphones have become an externalized part of our brains.
How old were you when you got your first smartphone?
I was about 13, I think. Well, yeah, about 13, and I got a little, I can't even remember what it was called, but I could go on the internet with it. And so I was probably about 13.
I think around 2000 I became aware of smartphones, and I remember around that time people started to be able to sort of text each other, and that was quite exciting initially, when people were able to communicate without having actually to speak, and that was quite an interesting period. So that was the time where I first really started to use them.
When did you start using social media?
Probably about the same age, about 13, and my mum and dad said to me, "Yeah, Sam, you can get Facebook if you want." And then it wasn't until about a year and a half later that I actually got more stuff like Instagram and Snapchat and Twitter. Although Twitter actually I joined in 2013, so yeah.
First social media would be, there was something called People Sound, which was a music site where you could upload music, a little bit like MySpace became. I think the first one was People Sound, and I was uploading music at that time, and it enabled people to comment and respond to it, and that was kind of really interesting, to be able to suddenly put something that you've produced to make it available nationally and internationally, and to hear back from people from other people around the world. But it was so unsophisticated that you'd literally, it operated in such a clunky and permanently malfunctioning, and it was quite a lot of problems. And then moved on to MySpace. So they were the first ones I used.
Undoubtedly, the generation which has been affected the most is the so-called Z generation, namely all the people born after the mid-1990s. The arrival of the smartphones have radically changed every part of teenagers' lives, from the nature of their social interactions to their mental health. Nowadays, teenagers are more comfortable in their bedrooms than in a car or at a party. They go out less, they drive less, and they even have less sex. They are physically safer because they stay more at home, but psychologically they are more vulnerable than older generations were. Rates of teen depression and suicide have skyrocketed since 2011. The twin rise of the smartphone and social media have caused an earthquake of a magnitude we've not seen in a very long time, if ever. Teens seem to be content with the idea of staying at home rather than going out with friends, because their social life is lived on their phone. However, surveys prove that those who spend more time than average on screen activities are more likely to be unhappy.
Do you think that social media is affecting the happiness of the new generations?
Oh, definitely. I think there's been a massive change in the way that young people view themselves since social media, and I think that has had a negative effect on mental well-being. I do believe that it has been beneficial for mental well-being in a sense that many people can obviously connect. However, overall, I do believe it is a negative influence on mental health.
I've had some instances where people say stuff like, oh, you know, what are you doing with your life and all that sort of thing. And it's hurtful, but you just, you move on for it. And I think there's some times where social media is really negative for some people, and, you know, it's a real shame because it should just be a platform where you can, you know, share photos and chat with your friends and everything, and, you know, it's just a shame when it doesn't happen like that.
I think the problem is with social media is that you see a lot of information which tells you that somebody is having a great time, having an amazing experience with their life, and when your life doesn't match up with that, it takes a lot for a young person to sort of take the time to step back and realise that people don't show the bad things. And if you don't know that people don't share the bad things, then you're always going to hope that your life is like theirs, and that's why I think it has such a bad effect on them.
Many surveys found out that the use of social media has caused an increase of stress, depression and anxiety. Everything we do and share on social media is object of critical observation. We constantly compare ourselves to the others. We always want to show the best part of ourselves, and we often feel insecure about what we are going to share. In social media, we are the product. Our image is what we sell to other people, and we take the product off the shelf when it is not selling fast enough, even if it doesn't get enough likes or comments. All this is seriously damaging our sense of identity and personality. People's identity is becoming split between who they really are and what they want people to see. As we detach ourselves from reality, we become increasingly absorbed by what is happening online. This has developed to the extent that if we don't keep up with our social media channels, we feel excluded. Technology is increasingly becoming not just part of our life pattern, but part of ourselves, of our mind. Our smartphones are already a fundamental part of us, and social media is gradually making a huge change towards the way we think and behave. Technology could be used in a very wise and useful way. With all the information shared on the web, we'd be able to keep informed about everything, to interact with more people, to grow a business, and much more. Who we actually have to blame for this inappropriate use of it is ourselves. The problem is not in the technology itself, but in the human, that, as a social being, has a constant desire to interact with other people, to show himself, and to keep informed about everything. Technology would represent a huge step for the human evolution, but if we don't learn how to use it properly, it's going to be a step back, providing a regression for the species, a loss of the idea of identity, personality, and eventually a loss of mind.